Hello there, I'm Guildmaster Dan, and welcome to the Fourth Wall. Now, just recently, guild member Carrison1976 made a comment on my Lawful Good video that got me talking about a character I used to play in the past known as Bartholomew Brigadier. Now, Bart was a knight of Salamnia who lost his arm to an owlbear, but decided to keep adventuring anyway because he wanted to protect his friends. Now, his friends started to treat him differently, and it caused him to start to resent their new behavior because of their new perception towards him, even though he was the same man he always was. Well, that got me thinking. I wanted to talk to you guys today about handling in-game disabilities. I understand that this topic was covered to some extent by Guildmaster in her video Do Your Research, so be sure to check that out, especially if you're a player down in the doobly-doo. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get started, and in the light of doing your research, let's start with mental disabilities. Now, Game Masters, you will normally see mental disabilities pop up in character descriptions, particularly for player character creation, or sometimes you might come across them in modules for descriptions for characters. When dealing with mental disabilities, particularly mental diseases, my best advice for you is just what Guildmaster's advised to players, is do your research. I mean, primarily you want to remember that mental disabilities or, mental diseases are not a personality quirk. They are challenges that people face in real life. And even though, yes, they can color a character to be unique, you still should do some research so you get to know exactly what you're dealing with. Just because you read in a description that a character, for example, has OCD, does not mean that every OCD is the same. There are many different ways that can be interpreted or that affects people. So talk to your player if they're the ones that are incorporating it, or read about the character a little bit to find out, what sort of mental illness or mental disability that the character is dealing with, and do some research. And encourage your player who is trying to roleplay it to do their research as well. Ultimately, you want to see how that will affect the game world, especially for the player, because, when they learn more about it and they know more what that sort of person faces, they can better roleplay their character. And on your side, because it's your job to make the game challenging and fun for your players, it also helps you to learn what sort of challenges though you can have that player player character face. So it gives you an idea of things you can do to help develop that character with the player. Definitely, it's also, if you guys are going to try that, I wouldn't recommend it for newer role players. Save that for veteran role players that can really get into characters, and maybe discuss it a little bit outside of game to see how to develop that character and to really handle that right. Outside of that, I really mainly wanted to talk about physical disabilities, mainly because this was inspired by a story from my past character, Bart. And something I've seen often in games is when a character loses a limb or becomes permanently wounded. A lot of times I see GMs go one of two routes. Either they have the player retire the character because they're not a viable adventurer anymore, or they're quick to mull over that. They're quick to replace that arm magically, or have a prosthetic put in. They're quick to, oh, you got a magical new arm, or oh, there just happened to be a healer that regrew it for you, or even some game masters will actually step back and say, okay, that never really happened. You didn't lose your arm. You just got hurt real bad. It'll just take a little while. They're quick to like, oh, this character is disabled. It's now worthless to the party, so I either need to get rid of it or fix it. I really encourage you out there to not do that. for one thing, even though a character may lose a limb or lose an eye or become permanently injured, like say getting a limp, does not make them a useless character. Does not make them a character that cannot go adventuring or whatnot. They are still the same person. They have new challenges to face, and I encourage you to embrace that. Don't be quick to get rid of a character or fix it if they lose a limb or something along those lines, because you can run into very unique role-playing situations, like I mentioned before with Bart. Visiting that character again, just getting a more idea of what was going on there, Bart lost an arm and still wanted to protect his friends, so he continued the adventure. Well, his friends started, catering to him. They started thinking that they couldn't depend on him in battle or to, bust doors open like he used to. They would, even though he would typically lead the party in marching order when he could, in order to, face danger first, they started relegating him to the back of the party because they thought that, A, he wouldn't be able to face danger as well as, say, one of the fully able-bodied party members, or B, they didn't want him in as much danger because he was injured, or, in this case, disabled. And even though he was the same person inside, and he was still one of the strongest members in the party, and still willing to put himself in harm's way to defend those around him, they started treating him differently, and that caused resentment in him. And I got to roleplay that out, and that was really cool. It really gave me insight into, what people with physical disabilities might face on a daily basis, and it kind of helped me realize, that it's a learning experience. Not only is it a unique role-playing experience that was fun to play out and see how it developed, Bart ended up pretty much becoming like Darth Vader, going from Knight of Solamnia to pretty much Knight of Fist and Daedalus. But point being, I got to role-play out that unique role-playing experience, but it also helped me to realize that, folks facing, physical disabilities, the type of stuff they might face on a regular basis. It helped give me insight into that. And ultimately, both physical disabilities and mental disabilities or mental illnesses in games are a learning experience when they come up. Don't be quick to get rid of them or fix them, because they could really put an interesting twist in your game, as well as, help grow the players and the game master as people, not just gamers or players. It helps you grow as people because you're learning about a new topic and gaining insight into it, and that's really valuable experience. You will not always get that window into someone else's experiences like that, and when you see that pop up, use it. It's very valuable as a person towards, growing into a more well-rounded person. And as a player, it gives you more challenging role-playing to experience, to try out. Now, will this work in all cases? No. There are certain challenges that a player face that will be too great for them to be adventurous. For example, if they become paralyzed from the neck down, obviously that's a bit of a problem for an adventurer. You're not going to be able to do a lot with that. Now, you may have a clever player who comes up with a solution around that, may come up with a magical means or a technological means of getting around that, in which case, great, let them do it. Ultimately, you got to remember that when these disabilities pop up for existing characters, that it's not something that's ruining the character. It's just a new challenge for the player and character to face. So, if they come up with a solution for that, even if it's, prosthetic, I lost my leg from the knee down. Oh, well, I'll get a peg leg. Let them go for it. Let them face these challenges, as people. And remember that the character is still the same person it was before. They just have a new challenge. And let them face those challenges. If they decide that they can't play that character anymore, that's fine. That's their prerogative. But don't be quick to dismiss it or fix it. Let them face the challenge that has been presented to them. Or in the case of a character who's starting out with one of these challenges, let them face the challenges realistically that they've brought on for themselves. Do a little research, find out what sort of challenges these people face, and give them the challenges that they obviously wanted to role play out. Now, I know this was a quick topic and could be a very sensitive topic for a lot of people out there, but I got across the main points I want to get across for you guys today. Be sure to check out Guildmaster's video down below dealing with the same topic, and, you know, if you agreed with what I had to say and you wanted to add something to it, or even if you disagreed with something I had to say and thought that I misrepresented something, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Please like, share, and subscribe so we can keep the conversation going. And as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.